Earthquakes rarely come with any warning. They are sudden, scary, and sometimes powerful enough to cause the ground to actually split apart. Here is a top 10 list of earthquakes that cracked the world. Number 10. The Great Chilean Earthquake. The Great Chilean Earthquake is the most powerful earthquake ever recorded. The earth opened up when it struck Valdivia, Chile, in the afternoon of May 22, 1960. After many studies, it has been determined that the greatest earthquake ever measured was an incredible 9.5 in magnitude. Not only was it utterly massive in its power, the earthquake lasted an incredible 10 minutes. It was so powerful it set off a series of local tsunamis with waves up to 82 feet that battered the southern Chilean coast. But that was just the beginning. The intense and powerful movement of the Earth's crust sent tidal waves out and across the Pacific Ocean. Tsunamis up to 35 feet devastated Hawaii, while other massive waves reached as far as Japan, China, Australia, New Zealand, and the Philippines. It is estimated that 5,700 people died from the quake.
Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and you'll get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it. It really works.
Number 9. Gorkha Quake. A magnitude 7.8 earthquake slammed Nepal on April 25, 2015. Known as the Gorkha Quake, it toppled over multi-story buildings in Kathmandu and caused landslides in the Himalayas. Sadly, almost 9,000 people died in the quake, and over 20,000 were injured. It was the worst natural disaster to strike Nepal since the 1934 Nepal-Bihar earthquake. It caused an avalanche on Mount Everest and killed 21 people. It was the deadliest day on the mountain in history. Aftershocks continued every 15 to 20 minutes for days after the initial quake. The most severe aftershock occurred on May 12th, when a 7.3 quake rattled the region near the Chinese border, killing more than 200 people and leaving thousands more injured. The earthquake was so strong it caused a shift in the earth of 10 feet in just 30 seconds. And a big piece of earth. A block measuring 120 miles long and 40 miles wide was shifted 10 feet, causing massive seismic cracks, and this led to a road opening up in Kathmandu. The massive quake caused road closures, trapping many in rural areas from receiving assistance. Sadly, over 4,000 people lost their lives. Number 8. Highway collapse. The presence of a gigantic crack in Kenya has many scientists worried that someday the continent of Africa will split apart. The crack measures some 50 feet deep and 60 feet across. It mostly passes through open, uninhabited land. However, it did run into a highway in Nairobi, causing the highway to eventually collapse. This great rupture was likely an after effect of the drifting of the planet's surface plates. Kenya sits atop the Somali Plate and the Nubian Plate. These two plates are in constant motion, leading scientists to believe that someday more cracks will appear and the continent will eventually break apart. Number 7. Mexican Desert Earthquake. In the northern Mexican desert, a mysterious half-mile-long crack appeared. This massive crack in the world is as deep as 25 feet in some places. Although the Sonora region is not known for seismic activity, the appearance of the gash in the middle of the desert immediately inspired the imagination of reporters and locals alike, who determined it must have been caused by an earthquake. But no one felt anything in the nearby town. This theory seemed a bit shaky, as earthquakes in southern Mexico are often felt as far as 700 miles away. Surely an earthquake strong enough to make this crack would have rattled a few nerves as well. The more likely explanation comes from the chair of the Department of Geology of the University of Sonora, Inocente Guadalupe Espinosa Maldonado. The professor said that the massive fissure was probably caused by the sucking out of the groundwater for irrigation in the region. He went on to say that these features are completely normal manifestations in the ground, which occur under such circumstances. Yeah, sort of like how giant cracks in the earth are totally normal manifestations that occur after an earthquake. What do you think? Do you think it could have been caused by an earthquake? Be sure to leave your comments below. Number 6. July 4th Mojave Quake. Southern California is no stranger to earthquakes. Due to the proximity of the San Andreas Fault, California is under constant motion and constant threat of a major earthquake. Every once in a while, the movement of the plates is strong enough to cause the ground to shift up and down, leaving a seismic gash. One of the most talked about is the Ridgecrest crack in the Mojave Desert. On July 4, 2019, a 6.4 magnitude quake struck near Ridgecrest, California. It was the biggest in the area in decades. It caused the ground to split wide open. The earthquake was felt as far away as Los Angeles and Las Vegas. The crack was so long it could be seen on satellite images. Such earthquakes often come as a preview of what's ahead. It is just a matter of time. Do you think that California will have a major earthquake in this lifetime? Number 5. Back-to-back Alaska quakes. In November of 2018, Anchorage, Alaska was rocked by a 7.0 earthquake that caused destruction to buildings and shook the city of 300,000 residents, sending people running into the streets. A large part of the off-ramp to the Anchorage airport collapsed. The unexpected devastation of the road left a motorist stranded on an island of solid ground. Several car crashes were also reported at other locations due to the violent shaking. If the 7.0 magnitude earthquake was not enough, it was followed almost immediately by a 5.7 quake. Number 4. Earthquake agent. The San Andreas is without a doubt the most famous of the faults in the USA. It has been the subject of many Hollywood blockbusters, books, and certainly it's front and center in the story of California earthquakes. If earthquakes were celebrities, the San Andreas would be their Hollywood agent. The San Andreas Fault runs between the Pacific and the North American tectonic plates. These two plates are under constant stress. It is no wonder that scientists consider this to be the most serious and dangerous fault for the USA. The visible crack that runs down the San Andreas fault line is a staggering 800 miles long. This line passes directly under the subway system, vineyards, roads, hundreds of roads, residential areas, city areas. It is very easy to imagine what damage a massive earthquake along the San Andreas Fault would cause. A magnitude 9 or above quake would devastate the state of California and lead to thousands of deaths. One might expect this pick to be the number 1 item on our list, but due to it being so well heard of, it sits here at number 4. Number 3. Ecuador Fault. On April 16, 2016, a massive earthquake was felt on the San Isidro Fault in Ecuador. A 7.8 magnitude quake, a massive earthquake indeed, left the area filled with fissures and sinkholes. Some were so big that they swallowed up farm animals and even destroyed complete farms across more than 150 hectares of land. The massive cracks, together with the sinkholes, were devastating to local farmers. People died in the earthquake. It was the worst natural disaster in Ecuador since the 1949 Ambato quake, 676, which, although a much smaller 6.4 earthquake, tragically killed over 5,000 people. And now with that, it's time for today's best pick. Today's photo was submitted by one of our subscribers. So if you find a photo or a video online and you want to know more about it, send it over to us and we'll do all the work for you. We might even feature it in a future video. Number 2. This next pick was submitted by a subscriber for our consideration. Wow, imagine the Earth peeling away like this. Well, this is the work of photo magician Erik Johansson. The Swedish photographer takes inspiration from surrealist painter Salvador Dali to create quirky fantasy images from real-life scenes. Most of the images Johansson uses are of things he knows, areas and locations in his native Sweden. He always begins with a photograph that he has taken himself. From this, he may spend weeks, months, or even longer to achieve the final result he is searching for. In the industry, some people refer to these photo editing geniuses as photo Frankensteins. American fashion photographer Christopher Borgman is another well-known master of the art form. Although he applies it to models, makeup, and fashion, I wonder what the two of them might achieve if they put their heads and their images together. Number 1. Gobi Alte. On December 4, 1957, a massive quake struck in the mountains of Gurvan Bogdo, forming the northern part of the Gobi Alte, in the southern part of the Mongolian People's Republic. The 8.1 magnitude quake was one of the biggest ever recorded in Mongolia. It shook the entire region and was felt in the Soviet Union and the northern provinces of China. It was responsible for a massive area of 5 million square kilometers, or roughly 2 million square miles, of destruction, with serious damage to buildings as far as 325 kilometers or 200 miles from the epicenter. The quake was massive and left a path of destruction and ruptures in the land, including one that measures a monstrous 160 miles long. It was no wonder the Mongolian gash is the most amazing of all the earth-splitting on our list.